We haven't seen a release in the Kirby series in nearly 2 years. That's right, folks. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe was the last time we got to see some sort of anything installment for Kirby. Now, we did get some Nintendo Switch Online editions. Still hate that name, by the way. Virtual Console is much better. Like, Kirby Tilt and Tumble and Kirby the Amazing Mirror. But, that's nothing exactly blowing people out of the water. People want to see the next installment for the Kirby series. What exactly are we thinking is going to happen? Well, there has been some rumors about Kirby Planet Robobot, whether it be an HD remaster, whatever it may be. Some sort of Kirby Planet Robobot is coming to the Nintendo Switch, supposedly, according to a rumor. Once again, that is nothing concrete, nothing confirmed. Anything and everything for Kirby it's up in the air. We don't know anything. We don't know what Nintendo or HAL Labs has in store for the Pink Puff. And that's certainly exactly what we're going to be covering today, because there is a variety of different options. Now, of course, besides Kirby Planet Robobot being whatever it may be on the Switch, that rumor's already been covered. But let's take a look at history repeating itself, I like to believe. So if we look back at Kirby's history, we see that when there's been a gap year in Kirby, there tends to be a mainline release. I guess if you count Kirby Epic Yarn, I guess that is technically a mainline release, but every single time there's been a mainline release for Kirby. There hasn't been a spin-off after a gap year. So what this kind of tells me is, I feel like there's going to be, and I should say, brand new release. We're not looking at like remakes because or anything like that. Besides, of course, Kirby Superstar Ultra, but it looks like there's going to be some sort of mainline release. People have said that there's going to be some. I've heard some people say there might be a sub game or mini game, kind of like Kirby's Dream Buffet or Kirby Fighters 2. I don't think that's necessarily going to be happening, because if that was the case, they would have released that already. They would have put that out already by now, because they wouldn't have waited this long. If you look at what HAL does, they usually take a while to get things readied up, get things saddled up for a mainline Kirby release. In fact, I don't even know why I said usually. They do. They get some things ready for a mainline release. You look at, in 1999, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, that came out as a mainline release after that. Then you look at the next break being Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, another mainline release right there. Break year in 2007, then 2008, Kirby Superstar Ultra. Another break year, Kirby Epic Yarn. Another break year in 2013, we get Kirby Triple Deluxe in 2014. And then the next break year we got in 2021, we had Kirby in the Forgotten Land. So that's why I believe there's going to be some sort of mainline release, and I do think it's entirely possible for us to see either Robobot. I'm going to say, because of that, I don't think it's necessarily going to be a port. HAL likes to stick to their standards. It's going to be an entirely redone version, kind of like Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, or literally like Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, with some sort of additions. Because once again, Kirby Planet Robobot, it didn't sell as good as Triple Deluxe. Triple Deluxe did have its plenty of it sold more than Robobot Triple Deluxe, and it also had a second re-release in a Nintendo Selects variation, at least here in the States. So that's why I do believe that we're going to be getting Planet Robobot, just because it never had that $20 price cut. It wasn't as appealing to other people because it was a Nintendo Selects version, and it also came out during a time when everyone's like, yeah, I'm kind of sick of the 3DS, kind of sick of the Wii U, let's move on to the Switch, So I could be seeing it being entirely possible why it would be Kirby Planet Robobot we'd be getting. But the next thing being, of course, is a mainline Kirby game. Now, there was some sort of rumor or whatever about there being a mainline Kirby game. I don't necessarily remember what the name is. I'm not even going to look into it because it doesn't really interest me all that much. But as for stuff we've heard more concrete from HAL, supposedly they're saying they are working on the next installment, the next 3D installment for Kirby, essentially like a Kirby Forgotten Land 2, or what are we going to call it? Kirby and the Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, I guess that was kind of already the case in the Forgotten era, you could say. But, since HAL's been working a long time on this 3D Kirby game, supposedly, or the next mainline installment for Kirby, we could possibly see that next, or we could see that release alongside the supposed Robobot, whatever it may be, onto the Switch, Robobot Deluxe, or some interesting, because some people have said we're not going to be getting Kirby Triple Deluxe because it'd be Kirby Triple Deluxe Deluxe or whatever. But I could just at least seeing them just calling it Kirby Triple Deluxe or Kirby Triple Deluxe HD, even if that did become a possible version on the Switch or whatever. But they could even just call it Kirby Planet Robobot. They could potentially call it Kirby Planet Robobot Deluxe, or they could call it Kirby Triple Deluxe Ultra. Yeah, who knows? But that aside, though, the next installment, brand new mainline installment for Kirby, that certainly, of course, is next on the table as well. If we exclude Robobot Now, whether or not it's going to be 3D or not, I do think it's going to be 3D, the next mainland Kirby installment, because HAL has been working. They've been cooking. They've been doing a lot of different stuff when it comes to the next installment of the Kirby franchise. I don't think necessarily it's going to be 2D because, you know, a lot of people didn't really seem to care for Kirby Star Allies. Sure, it did. I think it's like the second best-selling Kirby game on the Switch. A lot of people don't really seem to care for it. They kind of got old of the 2D modern Kirby. Even if they are really good, Kirby Star Allies is really good. I do think it's a much better game than people give it credit for. But I don't think we're going to be seeing a 2D Kirby game next. We're going to be seeing another 3D Kirby game, something that's probably going to shake things up as well, just because Forgotten Lands copy abilities, it was a little basic. It kind of felt like more or less it went back to Kirby Adventure, where the copy abilities only had really one use. Some of them had multiple uses. You know, if you switched up the hats as well, that kind of helped. But you know, we need to make it kind of feel like Superstar. You know, we need to have those multiple uses for those copy abilities. It felt like it was a step back in that sense, and that is the one complaint I had for Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land was a good game, still is a good game, but I do think that's probably what HAL's going to be improving upon. They're going to be putting the aspects from Superstar into the next 3D Kirby game, or I guess you could say Forgotten Land 2, whatever it may be. But yeah. Now, some other stuff we could say as well, I do certainly see there being a possibility of some sort of sub-game or something other like Dream Buffet, probably coming after, not long after, the next mainline installment of Kirby. Now, whether or not this is going to be on the, the next console, whether or not the next mainline installment for Kirby is going to be the next, Switch 2 or whatever. I think it will be, just because Nintendo's probably telling them to hold back, while Prime 4 and whatever else, Donkey Kong Country Returns for the 99th time is going to hold things over on the mainline Switch. Probably why we'd be seeing Robobot on the current Switch is just because, they want to do something. They want to have at least some sort of like, hey, we're not leaving you behind. Those people who still have the Switch, even though a lot of people just want to move on from it, from being it's underpowered, but they're like, hey, here's at least something. Here's at least something for you folks. And Robobot being ported over from the 3DS, it's not going to be requiring a lot of demanding stuff. HAL certainly wants to break the boundaries in the next 3D Kirby game. I could also see them possibly doing a dual release for some sort of new sub game. What exactly would that new sub game be? Not entirely sure. I could see they could repurpose stuff like DDD's Drum Dash, or maybe other stuff that hasn't been out there. Scope Shot, I'm looking at you. Maybe they'll bring back a more extended version of Scope Shot. I don't think it'll be too expensive, probably ranging, knowing Nintendo/HAL's pricing, it's probably going to be in the $15 range. It'd be nice if it was like $10, but I do think that's a little unlikely. Considering Robobot, is going to have essentially Blowout Blast and another, the more basic non-microtransaction version of Team Kirby Clash. That'll be certainly nice. Now, some other things we could look into as well is, I know I did mention Nintendo Switch Online, just kind of, mentioning this there. We can still see games released on Nintendo Switch Online. Now, probably why they're not doing this, if you look at why Nintendo, if they're releasing all the Donkey Kong Land games on the NSO, except for Rest in Peace Donkey Kong 64, they're doing that to kind of hype up the next installment of Donkey Kong Country. I think it is possible, or I should say that the remaster or whatever. I think it is possible that we could be seeing some games from Kirby still, because we don't have anything from the NSO Online. We have things like Pinball Land, Star Stacker, and Block Ball. Really good one right there. Block Ball, the Game Boy, coming to the NSO Online. And then also for the GBA, the big one, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. Everyone loves that remade version of Kirby's Adventure. I do think the original Kirby's Adventure is pretty freaking cool in my opinion, but it does have some cool additions like Meta Nightmare, along with the very forgotten, underlooked ability here. 4-player Kirby's Adventure, essentially. So Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland is 4-player, just like Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge one, because I myself have never been able to experience the 4-player of Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, just because, who's going to have 4 cartridges? You need to have 4 cartridges, also along with 4 systems. And yeah, that is still kind of, if you think about it, expensive, but it's more accessible than tracking out all that stuff. Having the freaking expansion pass though. But that is going to be a big one. I think they are going to be releasing, maybe, I don't know if they would release Nightmare in Dreamland first, or if, because they probably would do it like Donkey Kong Land, where they'd be like, oh yeah, here's a couple of, Game Boy titles, and then they might do Nightmare in Dreamland. But I do think that Nintendo/HAL is saving those remaining games on the Nintendo Switch Online to build up for the next installment of Kirby, whether it be Robobot or Forgotten Land. I do think we're going to be seeing a direct here eventually once Nintendo does reveal the next system. It'll be talking about their next games, along with games that'll be on the Switch. And then as, let's say, for example, the next Robobot or the next 3D Kirby game comes out, they'll be releasing these Kirby games kind of every couple of weeks, maybe every couple of months on the Nintendo Switch. Anyways, that being said, Kirby's future certainly looks bright, just like, being bright as a Star Warrior himself. Hope you all enjoy what I had in mind, what's possibly in store for the Kirby franchise. Let me know down below what you think's going to happen. Let me know what you think about my takes. And of course, don't forget to steal yourselves. Bye-bye.